Welcome back to Artscape. I'm Susan Sablom, your host, and with me today I have Philip Schmoll, who is a photographer, singer, writer, what else? Dancer, cook. I want that cooking stuff. Philip, once again, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Susan.
Now, we were talking about your black and white photography, and going on, the digital photography has given you a whole new venue.
Yes.
Tell me, what about digital photography makes you tick?
I think more so in the area of videography.
Okay.
Is my main interest in the influence of my father in my life caused me immediately to get into, in college, well, not even in college, pre-college, a group of friends and I got hold of an 8mm camera.
I remember those.
And I got into making travel logs and event logs all through my childhood. And I think that still photography became an offshoot of that as an artistic expression. So the influences were from my father, and they started with cinematography, 8mm film. I started editing at home, and I started doing frame by frame.
Did you?
Yes, I started making frame by frame animations. And the area became, the community in which I live became aware of this, and we started to move our film festivals to different, people would call up and say, hey, I'm having a birthday party, can you bring your films? We had several hours of films. I had huge 400-foot reels. And they would invite us, and it was a ticket to get into all kinds of parties and stuff in my neighborhood because they would say, hey, we're having a graduation party, bring the films. And we would have an hour or two venue whereby we would get to show our art.
Wow.
And we went all over the neighborhoods doing things like that, having little art. And every summer there was always a clamor for, when's your next film coming out? We want to see your next film. We did a lot of special effects and things. We really enjoyed it. Clay animations, drawn animations.
Oh, really?
Object animation was our biggest thing. I would animate a glove that I called the Crawling Death, and it would come along and strangle somebody and then take off on a bike, and all kinds of crazy things that we did. We animated. We had can battles where cans would fight each other. I animated a funnel one time. I turned it upside down. I had a ray shooting out of it, and it came in and it attacked different people, and they fought it off, and different things. So cinematography was sort of the launching pad for photography, which I later got on.
You can tell you're pumped about it too.
I love art. I love creating.
And taking a little step to the side, you still do that, and you actually do some of that in the community. Actually more helping people, or not helping, but people contact you because they want a little of this or a little of that put together?
Exactly. It's a service to the community. My art has always been for the public. Right. It's never been something that I've done, framed, and held on to. Right. I've never hoarded my work. In fact, I don't have a lot of the stuff, especially the photography, that you had asked me for, because I do it for other people and give it to them. And that's it. I don't really keep it.
Right.
Most of my artwork is a service to humanity. And that's the way I see it. I love to use my gifts and my talents to serve others. Where I see a need, I supply it with whatever ability I have. And most times people, especially youth in school, the youth come to me and say, we have a project we need. Yes.
Like this.
Like that.
And you did this for, give us an example. What school was that?
This was, my daughter attends Colonial Forge High School. She is in the Forge Drama group, and they produce plays. And what I did with this was I did a shoot. I captured the entire play. I broke it into its 3 parts, put it on 2 discs, and produced the two disc series for the entire cast and directors.
Very nice.
As a Christmas gift last year.
Very nice. That really is a gift.
That production value went into the entire thing. The case, the cover, the labels on the DVDs.
Sure.
And I did it free of charge.
And you know what's wild, ladies and gentlemen, is I mentioned at the beginning of the show that Philip is one of those guys who stays under the radar. You do so much, but he stays under the radar. And I know that we'll have at the end of the show a place where people can contact you if they're interested in seeing some of your work. I know that your prices are very, very reasonable, and you know, as you said, there are some times when you've done things because it was a public service.
Right.
So I told them it's okay to to be able to, we won't say how much, but you're just too incredibly wonderful.
Well, I usually tell people when they say, what should I give you for this? And I say, whatever God lays on your heart to bless me with, because I trust my Heavenly Father to provide for me.
Exactly.
And that's what I've always told you when I did work for you.
And I have to tell you that, ladies and gentlemen, he did back in 2000 when we were both very young still. I had come up with my first art, and I know that most of you know that I'm an artist too. I do inspirational art.
Amen.
And Philip was the one who actually was able to, with Billingsley Printing and Engraving, and there's a picture of them with us, was able to figure out how to do this etching and how to be able to photograph it, because it was going to be done on an old press.
Right.
It was the old lithography with
we
the oil
made lithos of your work.
Yeah, not digital, but this was lithos.
Yes, that was a great privilege to work with you there. The owners of the company, Billingsley Printing and Engraving, I don't see the
We've
picture
got it right
here.
there between us.
Oh, there it is, where I first met Susan. The owner of the company didn't know how to quite, I believe Liddy Mann may have been a little bit uncomfortable with artists.
Or the definition of what I needed.
Oh, that was it. The artwork was so intense and it needed a proper treatment. And she wasn't quite sure how to treat the artwork. So she called me in and said, Philip, can you help this woman? She made me your CSR, your customer service
You were
representative.
my the best. I had actually 3 people who were so good with me, including Mrs. Mann. But
Yes.
you were the,
I felt it was an important treatment of your work. Any artist's work deserves the most meticulous, the most perfect treatment of their artwork and representation,
I love
because
you.
art can be phased down in resolution, and I felt to keep it as true, as artistically possible as the representation could be, it needed all of my talent and ability.
Yeah.
And I poured everything into making it sharp and clear. We put it on acid-free paper.
well,
so
and
there
you
would
also
be
did
lines.
the negative, you had to photograph it and then do a
Reverse it.
negative of the negative,
We had
reverse.
to reverse it.
And then I had to go and do little
Yes.
touch-up thingies on it to get all of our lines, because it was an etching. It was
Yes.
on British scraper board, and so it was very defined. And this is not a
Yes.
show about me, but it's a show about Philip.
We're
But
linked
we
in
are-
that respect.
Is that why you do
Truly
this
are.
thing?
Yeah,
We're peeps.
that's right.
So, you guys, he'll do that with you too when he sees you on the street. Make sure you tell Philip you saw him on Artscape too. Just don't mind going up. You do it to me all the time. They're always letting me know, oh, I saw you on TV this weekend.
Yeah.
Probably 30, 40 people. And I didn't have makeup on, so I'm thinking, that maybe it was still okay if I still look the same. But will you stick with us for a few more minutes and
Sure
we'll come
can.
back? Because
Sure, I'd
I want
love
to
to.
talk about this.
Sure, I'd love to.
All right, then
Yes.
all I have to do is ask you to stay with us. I'm Susan Sablom, and this is Artscape. We'll be right back.
Your heart